think that wraps things up for Backlash, but we could discuss a little UFC as well if you want to touch on those quickly before we wrap up this quick video.
UFC 262 was Saturday night. Do you have the card in front of you? I don't have it open in front of me
I
yet.
don't either, but we can at least definitely talk about the main event, which was Charles Oliveira taking on Michael Chandler for the vacant lightweight championship. And Charles Oliveira managed to claim a fantastic victory in the second round, but really it was about the survival that he got through that first.
Yes, he survived the first round, and then early in the second took the victory with the TKO. I thought Chandler had it. I thought that it looked like Dan McLeod was inches away from calling the fight off,
right,
while Chandler was initially had Oliveira down. And then it was like paused off, got in a bit of a wrestling. Chandler again starts laying in fists and elbows, but at that point there was maybe 14 seconds left in the round, and Mergliata seemed to have his heart set on, we're going to let this go to the next round.
Yeah.
And I can't blame him for that. I mean, obviously Oliveira wasn't hurt enough that he couldn't continue. He knocked him out pretty quick in the next round. So I really did. I thought Chandler had that. So it was quite a reversal.
There were so many moments, I think, where if it was anybody else, in some of those moments, the ref might have stepped in. And again, it's maybe some hindsight looking at it too. Chandler just kind of stalking over him when he had him somewhat hurt on the ground probably would have been beneficial to back off and let him stand up to really kind of test his feet, see where he really was at with the damage and that kind of thing, rather than go on the ground where Oliveira is far more comfortable. But again, I think he was really caught up in thinking that he had him a lot more hurt than maybe he ended up being, even saying that in his post-fight stuff, responding as he was a real kind of zombie in there as to how much damage he was able to take and just keep coming back afterwards. So yeah, fantastic win for Oliveira, someone who's been with the company for a long time, really worked really hard to get to this title matchup, and with all the great wins leading into it, just kind of told a fantastic story for him to get that big win in the end, as he was able to TKO Michael Chandler, but Chandler not like getting like flatlined or anything like that. He was fine getting back up afterwards. I clearly had lost, but I think he not much time hopefully away before he can get back into the mix in the swing of things here.
Agreed. I would like to see, I think you threw out yesterday, match up him against
Justin
Gaethje,
Gaethje,
right?
Yeah, I think it'd be great right now.
And see where the chips fall after that, but I'd like to see him back in sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I don't think he's looked outclassed at all coming into the UFC, which was always the biggest story at play here with him coming over from Bellator, and I don't think there's any of that necessarily at play here for him having a real good showcase in the UFC.
First talking point of the night probably came with the preliminary main event, as the middleweight division. Ronaldo Souza taking on Andre Muniz. And nasty end of this fight.
Ooh, nasty indeed. Yes, poor Jacare Souza's arm not making it through the round.
No, that was the worst. Was he's standing there with a broken arm, and barely looking like it's registering on his face as far as pain going. He didn't scream out. He wasn't holding his arm. He was standing there, and hard to tell at that point it was broken. But when they replayed the replay over and over again, you can audibly hear the sound of a snap. It's definitely, he broke his arm.
Yeah, pretty nasty to see for sure. Yeah,
trapped it and broke it.
Yeah, real unfortunate, especially for a guy who's been a devastating guy, especially on the ground, and then to get caught in something like that is pretty crazy to see in as their career sort of turns around there.
Taking tapper snaps to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
We also had a follow through.
A phantom KO in the first round the first match of the main card, as Edson Barboza hit Shane Burgos with a fantastic punch, and it didn't register for him for a little bit. He got hit and kind of tried to get back onto his feet, and his brain registered to his feet that we're falling over, and he just couldn't get his balance. He fell back into his cage, like something you normally see with like a liver shot or kidney things like that have a bit of that delayed effects as the body sort of responds to the connection. Rarely, if ever, seen with like a punch like this to have that sort of like, again, looks like a flare flop, like something you would do in wrestling as a joke, where like Triple H would do them, and Ric Flair especially, where you get hit and pretend like it's nothing and then face plant, almost similar to that. So yeah, a nice another highlight for Edson Barboza.
In the other ones, there were some other fights, but the co-main event between lightweights Tony Ferguson and Beneil Dariush.
Certainly the next one worth some discussion here for Beneil Dariush getting a dominant 3-round decision over Tony Ferguson here, and yeah, dominant by all means. He had fantastic basics in the stand-up that he was able to just get his fundamentals over top of Tony's sort of awkward stand-up and stuff like that, hit him with a few good strikes early on, and then just dominated him on the ground. Like, Ferguson tried to go for some stuff. I think he wore out his arms early trying for some chokes and some other stuff that Del Rouge, you could tell, was just far more comfortable in these scenarios and just playing the long game a bit, like letting him wear his arms out and then just gaining really good dominant top position.
Yeah, Tony's unconventional offense, which has been a hallmark of where his success came from early on, seems to be leading more to the downfall now, is instead of being impressed by all of these crazy things he can do and pull off out of nowhere and what's just suddenly inspiring him to do, you're left more scratching your head as he's making some of these decisions and rolling around and then putting himself into leg locks and then not tapping out. I mean, I know you're tough, but that just ripped his whole knee apart. There's no way it didn't. Like, that's what that move does
afterwards, and like he certainly didn't look the same getting back into the second round.
No,
and
not
later
at all.
rounds and stuff like that. He was getting taken down even easier afterwards. He really put himself in some real unfortunate situations, and just it's crazy to see some of these guys now on as the momentum can shift so drastically, because it felt like he had all the momentum in the world leading into trying to get back to that Khabib fight that, again, just never could happen. And then he just, keeps just not being able to get that ball rolling, and then running into all the wrong kind of competition here for at least his type of game planning.
It's such a common theme with anyone that has success in any combat sport, be it boxing or MMA or any of the other one. I don't follow karate or Muay Thai or on a regular basis.
A lot of similar things,
but I'm sure they're the same. Where the person that comes along that has this unorthodox, different style and really outside of what you should be in all of the accepted traditions and norms. If a person like that comes along and has a relative amount of great success in the beginning, they get this quick amount of hype behind them and lots of people excited by it, and momentum carries on for a bit and gets them through a few, but it's always ends up being the same boat. Once the first hole is exposed or the first chink in the armor is seen by an opponent, and suddenly the mystique is gone and the unconventional style starts to look more like an untrained guy. And I didn't feel like that necessarily with Tony, but I definitely felt like we're watching the end of his UFC run here.
Yeah, it didn't look like he had added something extra to the game to try and make up for how much he had looked in this exact same situation when he'd fought Oliveira the last time and stuff. So that Dariush definitely had seen the holes in his ground game, which again, he's 10th planet black belt. He's shown some fantastic groundwork, but against like real dominant jiu-jitsu and stuff like that from Dariush, he was just outclassed in that particular manner. So big win for Del Russo, and make sure that gets as accoladed as much as Ferguson didn't necessarily look as
very
much
impressive.
as the Ferguson of old, but I think that was more just because he ran into a really, really tough opponent with Del Russo. He was on a fantastic run.
That's part of it as well, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, his losses are 3 in a row for Ferguson now, but they've not been to nobodies. They're not tin can losses. So I could see him being kept around to have another shot in the octagon. I don't think this is the end of Ferguson.
No, I'm
but
not sure where
we're watching his decline.
Yeah, it feels like what we were seeing from Cerrone like 2 or 3 years ago, whereas to now where we see Cerrone. Yeah, I hope it doesn't end up that way, but yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out. But all in all, a fantastic showing once again from the UFC. A great pay-per-view, and they're going to keep things rolling on, and we'll keep things rolling on here on Low Blow Radio. But I think that wraps things up. Anything else in the pro wrestling or MMA world you'd like to discuss?
Slap Fight 4 comes on the 22nd of this month. It's like 5-6 days away.
Stay tuned.
Don't miss it.
Don't miss it. Stay tuned to the River. I'm sure we'll be doing a bit of a review and talking about that on the River Show. And if not, stay tuned here to the YouTube page. You can like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back with more fun videos here on Low Blow Radio.
Adios, amigos.